Hey guys, welcome to another video by Predator War Robots. So today we're going to be looking at the top close range Griffin builds. So the first build is the Orkin aphid build, and the aphids have a 350 meter range and the Orkins have a 300 meter range. The total cycle damage of this build is 126,000, and this means that if you unload all your Orkins and aphids and all of them hit the enemy robot, then it'll do 126,000. It's not very common that you do get to unload every single rocket, but it obviously helps if it's higher. So the best part about this build is that you can flick the aphids over walls and objects, and enemies can't really counter back to that unless they expose themselves, in which case you then shoot your Orkins. Or in this clip you can see I jump back, I throw the aphids at the enemy, then I'm out of range and I land. This build is also very good against Lancelots. As you can see, there's a Lancelot coming up there, then I'm going to throw some aphids at him, and then I unload the Orkin clip. And then once he sees me and turns towards me, I can jump away, and he can't really do anything about it, and my teammates finish him off there. And the aphids are great against the Lancelots because the shield on the Lancelot is on the front of the robot, and the aphids will usually come down from the top, which means they're going to hit the Lancelot almost every time if he's just standing there. And this build is also great for throwing aphids over cover onto Furies without them being able to do anything. So the next build is the Orkin Pinata build, also known as the death button, and each weapon type has a 300 meter range, and the total cycle damage is 137,000, which means if you land every rocket from the Orkins and Pinatas, it will do that much damage. And the damage per second is actually 57,000, which is the highest of any other Griffin build. And this means you can do your damage a lot faster than many other weapon types. Orkins and Pinatas being rocket weapons as well, they allow you to have splash damage, which is great against any shielded bot. And this bot's actually just really fun in general, and the best part about it is jumping into an enemy with full clip and then unloading the whole thing. And then by the time you land, the enemy can't react fast enough because of that damage per second. See right there, I unloaded the clip on the Lancelot, he's almost dead, and by the time I land, he's almost dead and you can't do anything about it. One counter to the death button is plasma, which is a problem usually for this build. But there's a Lancelot, Orkins, and Pinatas. The shield doesn't matter at all, takes them out. And this is a clip. There are going to be, I think, 3 Lancelots or 4 Lancelots here. So that's the first one. The teammate took that one out, but I think I helped out a bit. And then this Lancelot's here, shooting Orkins at him. And the Ansel is a problem for this build sometimes, but if you let your clip go and stop it like halfway, you have to let the Ansel register and take the damage, and it really helps. So then I'm able to get around this guy and unload a fairly large clip there with the Pinatas loaded up. And then I also move to the left here, and another shielded bot, the Galahad, which is very common to see right now in the game with the swing of things, is then taking half health down, and that wasn't even a full clip, and I did a pretty significant amount of damage. So this is a good example of the downside of running this build. With all the Ansels in the game, once you break through their shield, you almost have no Orkins or Pinatas left, and that can leave you getting destroyed. So the next build we're going to look at is the Turan aphid build. and both these weapon types have a 350 meter range, and the total cycle damage is 176,000, but that is assuming that you unload all your Turans on the enemy, and that is quite difficult because it takes a while to do that. And the damage per second is a bit lower because the Turans don't register as fast as organs, or not even register as fast, they just don't shoot as fast. So right there I had a 350 meter range, he was hiding behind cover, I can flick the aphids at him, and then they go over top and hit him. And the jump allows you to jump away from enemies, and that's obviously a huge part of why the Griffin's so good. So I didn't want to shoot the aphids too early when he was in the air, or else he could dodge them. But this way, right when he lands, the aphids can hit him, and that helps. Then we exchange aphid fire, and he is in a Orkin aphid build, so I should win this battle in the open. But he was using that bridge as some cover. And then with the Turan blown off here, I just try to get some damage in, which that Gareth would then take me out. So I'm closing in here again on the left. I jump, toss the aphids over. They do hit. And I put myself in a bit of an awkward position right here because he's corner shooting me. But then I'm able to shoot the aphids off with that 9-second reload time. And then he does get taken out. So the next build is the Turan Magnum build, and a lot of people call this the Plasma Griffin. So the Magnums and Turans have a 350 meter range, and the total cycle damage is 147,000 with 21,000 damage per second. The reason that damage per second is so low, like I said before, it's just because Turans and Magnums take longer to do damage. One big counter to this build are Galahads, and what do you know, there's a Galahad. That might have been planned. So I'm able to take him out there because his shield was very low health, and that's what you really have to do if you're facing a Plasma Galahad. You have to corner shoot them, and then eventually you should break their shield, and then you can take them on because you have more firepower. So another advantage of running this build, as players jump up in the air, you can hit them with the Turans and Magnums. Unlike using Orkans, the Orkans will usually be very inaccurate in the air and you'll miss most of your shots. And with a 4-second reload time, the Turans are definitely the way to go against Death Buttons and Orkin aphids. So this guy's Orkin aphids. I'm keeping in that 300 and 350 meter range. He was unable to hit me with the Orkans, and then I stood back and I took a big chunk out of his health. So there is a Ancelot. It's the same thing with the Ancelot as it is with the Galahad. You have to corner shoot them until their shield breaks. That's the only way to take them out, really. And you'd be surprised that going one-on-one with an Ancelot, since they only have the 2 Turans and you have the extra Magnums, you can actually usually break their shield and do a big amount of damage to them. Or maybe not a huge amount, but a significant amount. And if you can corner shoot them in that same time, it'll do more. So this was kind of a one-on-one with the Plasma Galahad, the Plasma Griffin, and I got some help there. So the last build we're going to look at is the Punisher build on the Griffin. So this is kind of a bonus build because this build isn't effective at all really on the live server right now. But the test server seems to look like really good signs that it's going to be effective in all levels of play because of that accelerated state that was recently released on the test server. So this build kind of depends on how that goes and how they release it, but we'll put it on anyways. So the Punishers do have 500 meter range, and it's made up of the Punisher Mark II and just the normal Punishers. So the total damage is 162,000, and that seems really high, but it's not, just because the Punishers miss so many shots. And that's actually on the live server. I think they might have changed it on the test server, because the total damage output of these is higher than the death button, except you're very much more likely to miss bullets using these Punishers. And that can also be a good thing, especially going against shielded robots like Rhinos or Galahads, and especially Lancelots, because the Lancelot shield, it covers the front, except not the complete front of the Lancelot, so the bullet spread will go around the shield and can actually still take out one. And I'll actually have a clip of that coming up. And for those of you who don't know what the accelerated state is, it's when the rate of fire is increased for machine gun weapons after 3 seconds of continuous fire. So that goes for Molots too, and the clip will then empty faster as well because you're going through it faster. And I'm maxing my first set on a Griffin right now on the live server, and that's just because I missed the machine gun era when the game just started and they were actually really effective. I came in later, so I never really got a chance to run these in my hangar, unless it was with like a Destry in level 1. But if you see right here, they're really good against Ansels and energy shields. They take them out really fast, and that could be very useful, especially in high level games, taking out Ancelot shields, because I know those are really popular right now. And for those of you who are wondering why I didn't include the Russian death button in this video, is because I was trying to choose between Punishers and CRV pins in Columbus, and I picked Punishers just because the CRV pins in Columbus, they're not very popular right now. Their popularities went down a lot since the Ansel got its buff, and I have more faith in those because I don't think they're going to nerf the Ansel anytime soon. So I chose the Punishers, and I might actually post this game later on because I was actually running 5 Punisher Griffins on the test server, and this is on the test server just so we all realize that. It's mine on the live server like level 8 right now, so they don't do anything. And I actually got a score of over 800,000 just using Punishers, and usually like I only got 1 kill because usually you can't stay in front of the target enough to get him down to 0 health and kill him. He'll probably get behind cover, but like even right here you'll see this is a Lancelot and that spread's happening, but I'm still getting a significant amount of damage. And that's kind of what I was doing throughout this whole game. I was shooting them until they were about half health, then they get behind cover, and I did that to a bunch of guys. And overall, the Punishers are just a really fun weapon to use, so I definitely recommend starting to upgrade them if you have some, and if you don't, you should go and get some. So we're going to wrap the video up with my top 5 picks in order. So first I have the Turan Magnum Griffin. As I pointed out before, they're great against all unshielded robots, and you can still get things done with a shielded robot by simply corner shooting them, breaking their shield. And the short reload time and the no reload time of the Magnums really helps, especially to get a lot of damage in, which everybody likes damage, so that's a good thing. So the next is the Orkin Pinata Griffin, or the death button. And this build has always been quite popular, just because its quick ability to cause damage to an enemy. And I think it'll stay around for a while. As long as there's shielded robots in the game, the death button's gonna be the way to go. So the third pick for me is the Orkin Aphid build. The Aphids, they are also less strong because of the Ansel and because of that nerf they got a while ago. But they're still great against Lancelots and the Aphids really complement the Orkans because of the splash damage that the Orkans have, and you can toss Aphids over objects and over cover. The Turan Aphid Griffin build, that's lower on the list just because the Turans are an energy weapon, so they can go through energy shields, but then Aphids can't. So if you're shooting at an Ancelot, for example, the Aphids are just going to be completely blocked out while the Turans hit the shield, so you're kind of not committing yourself to like one side completely, whether it's just all plasma going to break his physical shield or trying to get rid of his energy shield. While the Orkan Aphids can just go all energy shield if you come across an Ancelot or something like that. And the Punisher Griffin is low on the list because, like I explained before, it's not good on the live server right now. But with that buff, it could certainly move up and be one of the top Griffin builds. So that wraps it up, guys. Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, make sure to subscribe for more content.